Hello everyone, Bridget Casey with Bridget Casey Designs here today for the June 2023 Marvelous Monthly Series video hop with Altenew. Here's a sneak peek of the project we're going to create. I used the Dynamic Duo Hanging Houseplants. So the stencil is really the star of the show with the Dynamic Duo, which I love. So we've got a 2-piece stencil set. There is a layering guide on the inside, which we will not use today, but there is a video that accompanies this on the Altenew site. And then there are the details of the outline stamp set. We'll also use the greetings from Sweet Greetings hot foil plate set, and we'll use the add-on die from Sweet Greetings to cut those out. So we're going to use the shadow image, not the actual image. So we're going to get these put onto our hot foil machine. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up the hot foil plate with the die. I'm trying to get it in place, and then I'm going to flip it over and put it onto my hot foil machine. So it was pretty close. It did get a little mixed, and Bridget Casey is walking through. She walks through another time too. She was being super helpful. And then I used my tweezers just to move that hot foil plate down a little bit. This will help me to be able to cut these perfectly when it comes time to cut them at the end when I need my sentiments. So I'm going to go ahead, run that through my machine, and we're all set with our sentiments. I've taken the sticky mat out of my stamp wheel and I've just put it onto my work surface. I am using satin masking tape, but I'm not always consistent or good about it because I do get some smudges, but we fix them. So I did it, just so I could show you how to fix it. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So we are on stencil 2, B1. I used Sunkissed, and then I came in to add a little bit of orange cream just for some depth and dimension on the project. So now we're going to stay on stencil 2. We're going to be on B2. And I'm moving my tape. See, I really tried. So we'll use Orange Cream and Autumn Blaze on this one. Again, Bridget Casey, for some depth and dimension, that Autumn Blaze. The reason I started with the bee flower is because it was going to be in the center. And so I wanted to plan out my project around this center flower, but I got an ink smudge, so that changed it up just a little bit. So now we're on B3 with Autumn Blaze and Fire Brick. Stencil 2 still, step B3. There's my smudge. It's like, oh no, but I thought I did so good. And then I think I have this aligned. I go to start with my Fire Brick and look, and I'm like, oh no, but I saved it. So I was so excited. So I readjusted, and then I'm applying Fire Brick. This is going to be step B4 on stencil 2. And then I'm bringing in some red jasper just to add some depth to those leaves. And you can just do one color on each of the leaves. That is a-okay. I just like to do this when I'm stenciling, and I love ink blending. So we're going to get started with the third flower, which is C1 with Mountain Mist and Volcano Lake. I'm going to use this little scrap of paper to help me add some darker ink into very specific areas on my image. We'll peel that up. Then we'll go ahead. I keep cleaning in between, so you'll notice my stencil is clean. I'm cleaning by spraying alcohol and wiping it with a microfiber cloth. We are on C2, and we've used Volcano Lake, and now we'll come in with a bit of Lagoon. Even though I did get smudges, I still highly recommend cleaning your stencil between every step of the stenciling, because a lot of ink gets onto the stencil and surrounding areas, and sometimes you don't expect where it is. So I'm adjusting my satin masking tape for step C3 and beginning with Lagoon and coming in with Emerald. We'll move on to the final step for this houseplant, which is going to be C4. So I'm getting this aligned, and I'm putting my tape so that I don't go over, hopefully. And I've used Emerald, and then I'll come in with a bit of Galactic Stream to add some depth to these. And I went a little wild with the Galactic Stream, but I'm okay with it. It's just beautiful. So now I'm figuring, ooh, I could cover up my little dot right there. So I'm starting on stencil number 1. I'm starting with A4. 4 because I wanted to make sure I had that leaf perfectly aligned to cover my, well, one of my little whoopsies. So I'm beginning with my darkest ink, which is the Razzleberry. So we'll get this on. This is from Cherry Blossom. Then I'm coming in with some Cosmic Berry to add that darker color. I love using Cosmic Berry with Cherry Blossom. It's such a beautiful, beautiful look. So I like to do it as often as I can. Oh, so pretty. And then I got more. So use my sand eraser to get up that really light mark right there. And it worked perfectly. Now we're going to go to step A3. So we're basically just going backwards. So I've got that aligned, and now I will do Rubellite for covering all of my openings. And I put my hand there because I didn't want to go down and get it onto the cardstock panel. I'm trying to be so careful. I should have taped, but luckily I didn't get anything anywhere. So I was okay. Now I'm coming in with Razzleberry to add that depth to the leaves that I have been trying to get throughout this project. Now we're going to move to A2, again on stencil 1, and we'll use Pinkalicious to put down the color. I'm trying to be so careful. I'm like holding my breath as I do the voiceover. And then we're coming in with Rubellite for the darker area to add some depth to those leaves of the plant. And finally, we will end with A1, which is not something you usually hear, with Pink Diamond, and the definition layer of this will be Pinkalicious. I did get super nervous and put some satin tape up there. But I think the message here as well is make these stencils work for you. For my project this time, I needed to start with A4, and then I could go back through because I needed to cover up a whoopsie. So here we're going to go ahead and we're going to use hazelnut, almond butter, and milk chocolate to create our little pots, like I was thinking terracotta pots. So for this household plant, it is E on stencil number 1. So I'm going through all 3 colors and I'm putting the darker just around the edges. I love how that looks. I was so super happy. And then on stencil number 1, we're going to use D. So for the last one, for the pink flower, it was E on stencil 1. For the warming cozy orange flower, it is D on stencil number 1 for our pot. I think that's my favorite pot, the one in the center. I really like that pot. All right. And then finally, we are going to go to F on stencil number 2, and we're going through again with hazelnut, almond butter, and milk chocolate, and we're just layering them. And you may notice I stacked my inks on the side in the order that I'm going to use them, and I try to keep that the same as I'm going through and doing each pot, so it's easier to make sure I don't mess up my color order. Now we're going to go ahead. The great thing about working on the mat from the stamp wheel, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put the stamps into position. So I do fidget with them a little bit, and I will tell you, I did look at them, like I went down at the same level as the stamp wheel to look and see that they're aligned. So just to make sure. Now I'll pick them up with my flip plate and then go ahead and put some obsidian ink on there and stamp down the detail layer. So I'm taking this out of my stamp wheel, and I decided I was going to bend the mat and have the paper come off. I didn't want to wrinkle my cardstock panel. So now I'm taking some satin masking tape, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw some lines. The reason I did it this way was the stamp wasn't long enough for some of the house plants, so I didn't want to have to try to line up the stamp twice. I was nervous at this point, so I just drew that in with a T-square ruler. But there is a stamp in the set that will give you the hanging line. So just showing you here, sweet greetings would work beautifully. I tried to add the hello too, like hello, sweet greetings. But in the end, I really loved the hello, and I wanted to go with that. And I tucked it right there in the center, and it worked out wonderfully. And I do add a backer to this card, so I'm sorry I didn't show that to you. I hope you enjoy this hop, and I hope you have so much fun creating these amazing products. Until next time, happy crafting.